All right, now at quite a long last, we have a new chapter of Berserk. I believe the previous one came out. Let's see. Last August. So yeah, that was quite a while ago. In that one, it was a pretty cool chapter. Griffith has defeated the band of giants that were occupying some of the lands that he's trying to kind of reclaim and resettle. Then they were like, well, geez, we've reclaimed these, but how long before something else comes back and tries to take them over again? Took us a long time to get here, you know? But then they find a nice little warp portal, this like Stonehenge-looking thing that they restore. And as soon as they march through it, they've warped right back to Falconia. And it's pretty cool. And the way they talk about the idea of dwelling in legend, that when you're in this company, when you see Griffith do these things, you're occupying what will become legendary. And I think it's a cool way to think of it, because that sort of deed, that sort of story really does feel like it belongs to that really early period of human history where myth and legend and truth are all kind of just blended together. The story of soldiers that were fatigued and worried that they'd be unable to get home or unable to get back in time suddenly found a magical pathway through the sky. You know, it has that sort of almost biblical feel to it. That yet again Griffith just made it happen. Another miracle occurred. You know, I don't know. It's wonderful. It has like an almost historic gravity to it when you see these sort of things, just because of those sort of deep thematic cultural associations or structural cultural associations. So what will happen now? It looks like we're getting more Falconia porn, but I don't mind. I don't mind. This is like the aesthetic glory of Griffith. Of course, this is something that Miura probably had been fantasizing about and planning for decades now. So for him to be able to finally draw these things, to have this story arrive here, it's pretty fantastic. And the Falcon's Lancers have just about eliminated the Ogre, Troll, and Beast threat. Let to penetrate the Woodland and Reaver regions. Continue watch as advised. Must make haste to deal with the Goblin occupation of the Origin Mines. Are you aware of what befell our hitherto most formidable adversary, the Jotun in the east? Those were the big giants that Griffith just went and dealt with. Utter annihilation. It's the new royal army found around the core of the band of the Falcon, led by my commander. Everyone's pretty happy with this. This victory only marks the first act in a long and bitter struggle. So, well, I don't know. Let's read some more, and then maybe we'll talk a bit about these dynamics of Falconia at play. Because I see in Griffith's rhetoric something that reminds me a lot of actual human history. This kind of endless struggle as motivating factor. The restoration of our kingdom and the continuing existence of mankind are one and the same. Please bear that in mind. Then we get some politics here. As the state of the public order. See a trend towards a higher crime rate, rewarded with an increase in unskilled labor and low-paying jobs. Is that how it works? I don't know. Marked deterioration in public order in the sectors granted the influx of refugees. So there's unrest. But while all blood rides and creeds finally find themselves cooped together, some friction is unavoidable. Realize how trivial their differences of belief are. So basically they're saying, we send Griffith in, he proves through any of his plethora of miraculous skills that he is the one true messiah of humanity. And then they'll just kind of give up on their old gods and their old ways and such. Again, I'm like tempted to draw some lines here between real culture and this story. But I'm not quite sure yet like where this is going. Like what is the thrust of learning about all of this? Is Griffith going to deign to come down and perform such a miracle? Or are they going to try to affect social change from the bottom up? And what are we to feel about this? Like, what is are we supposed to view this as positive or negative, or and in general, just Griffith as a character? I'm not really sure how we are to feel about him in this present moment. Things are complicated. Ceremony keeps the people's discontent in check. Seeing is believing. Fighting and fighting. Griffith seems tired or bored or something. It's just... Moving on, relief measures for state orphans. I should establish an orphanage. Oh, the princess wants to make an orphanage. Yay. Don't have the funds. Can't make an orphanage. Alright. Well, you disappointed the princess. How y'all feel about that? How do you think Griffith's gonna feel about that? We should do it. See? He comes out the bat. Dedicated responsible victory for the Giants for this purpose. Not enough such laxness brings ruin. Huh? Wait a minute. So he's saying we need to really consider what we're going to do with the budget. We can't just be going orphanage, orphanage, orphanage. And then Griffith is like, no, it's not enough to consider it. I'm getting the sense that he's not... For us to survive, we must prosper. Trusting the orphan situation is not enough. All of the kingdom's young children up to 10 years of age are to be wards of the state. Okay. So not just orphans, but everyone. Everyone will be no longer wards of their family, but wards of the state. To learn a sense of national unity, solidarity, morality. Learn to read and write, a rigorous and expansive education. Again, I've heard this before. I've heard people IRL say this before. Not in person, because it happened long before I was born. But this sort of plan, I don't know. People need their children to work. Parents will never give them up. Taking children for half a day to make sure they get a solid meal will help our poor citizens too. It's not dangerous to educate the common folk. It is likely to bring arrogance. No. See, this argument does not fly. Look at how worried these old bastards are. Now I'm starting to swing around, because at first I was like, oh boy, this seems like a real sort of nationalist type project where you just brainwash the next generation into utmost fanatical loyalty. But, I mean, if the alternative is child labor, and I can see the appeal, and if the only argument against it is, like, we can't let those uppity common folk learn how to speak well, they might trick us. Like, no, screw you, buddy. So, the other aspect of it, of course, is that there needs to be the outer class, right? If you have this entire kind of national unity built around triumph and glory and sacrifice for the motherland and blah, 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 you need an against. You need someone who you're doing this against that is distinctly not you, that is the other, so that you prosper relative to them. This is like textbook 101 fascism type stuff. And in this, quite conveniently, we have like literal monsters. We have ogres and goblins and trolls and giants that they can go out and kill for this purpose. And they don't need to designate any of the actual human beings living there. Right? So maybe Falconia is awesome? I don't know. Because it's fine to kill those creatures. They're not like they're human. They're just out to kill things, I think. Domestic turbulence and foreign threats are maladies of the state. If they're both the same sickness, we do not wait for debility to overcome us. Maybe coughing up blood, but we must face to glory. Survive and prosper in this strange land 5-10 years from now. Men at arms and organized, the power of a great people, a great citizenry forest. We must have our people flourish. Construction, engineering, food production, logistics. Nice. Should ever people thrive with the government support? A nation derives its power from its people. Of course. Why is he acting like this is some great revelation? Shouldn't he be like aware of that? Aware of how the economy works? Right? What kind of dumbasses have you got at your table, Griffith? The financing. The financing. Administration will all but dry up for this benevolence to resort to new taxes. You take the copper and silver mines in the north, we can mint more money. Sure. Segregating refugees and combining with a single district makes them targets for discrimination. Look at this. Look at Griffith. It's pretty sweet. Well, I don't know. Okay, so this point where he says you shouldn't confine refugees to a single district and draw more and more attention to their othered status, because that's just going to make them a target. People will discriminate against them more. It's no good. I agree. That's no good. This idea of they must prove their worth over a native citizenry, well, I don't know about that. I'm not really sure what that entails, but provide them that opportunity, sure. I mean, I'm not quite sure if this is going to pan out the way he hopes, but I think his heart is in the right place right now. Unless he's doing all of this just to round up for another gigantic eclipse sacrifice so that he can become God Wrist or God Elbow or whatever is next. God Foot? Why not draft them into the army? Let's put all the refugees in the army. Sure. Lay the foundation for future funding. Recruits who function as combat engineers. Build and maintain roads. Strongholds and the fortifications of the land we reclaim. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. This is quite a beautiful vision, at least. This whole kind of empire building, I think, is pretty dang cool. It really sets a very grand scale to the whole thing. And just kind of the contrast between Griffith, whose ambitions become more and more lofty, and who exists in this world of nobility and economics and empire building. The contrast between that and some bum on a boat with dog armor and a ragtag group of mostly children whose big goal right now is to come and lop this sucker's head off. Just they're separating further and further and further. It's so cool. It really, I think, is the core dynamic of the series, is those tensions between not just the characters but the whole worlds around them. Rather than building a great wall of the provincial border and stuffing with a large and permanent military contingent, this network will stand guard over the realm. Look at this diagram. How lovely. It kind of looks like a board game or something. I think, or Civilization. And just these really wonderful, they look like medieval bestiaries, the drawings of like the Hydra and the Giant and such. Can't get in though, because the walls are up. And don't you start playing that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because, you know, they've got demons on their side too. It's not just 3D maneuvering gear and guns. They have the gigantic demon whose body is a bow and it can shoot demonic projectiles at like Mach speed. So no re. Serving them 10 years in the military will be offered citizenship, perhaps even residence. Okay. Governments are crumbling all over the world. Cities and villages cut off and overrun with creatures of legend. We in Midland maintain a semblance of a functioning state. Topple us if we so much as make a single mistake. Cannot afford to hesitate in painting the map. Empire spanning the continent. So attempt this undertaking, we build the territory of man a second empire. Oh, this is cool. This is so cool. And then in the middle of this, we will see our boy Guts marching in on a dark horse. And we'll wonder, who is the true villain? No, it's still Griffith. He's gonna get his head chopped off. Need to find room in the budget somewhere. Budget. Lots of other kingdoms effectively wiping out the national debt is silver line. So how long has passed since Falconia was established? That's like kind of unclear to me. Because it seems like quite a lot has already happened in the history of this city. Evil spirit has been driven from them. The worst of the lot. Fantasy. To lead a country and its people, you need a fantastical vision. All of us drunk on the illusion that man so skillfully weaves. Cool, cool. And this feels like another kind of stratosphere of the previous chapter. But in the same way, the soldiers are just enraptured by their heroic general who cuts down the enemy's leader and then marches them across the sky to return home in the blink of an eye. So too are these economists and lords and such overwhelmed by the fantastical optimism in Griffith's strategic planning. It doesn't have the same sort of supernatural romance, but you can tell that this is still history in the making. This is still the sort of thing that they will be writing books about for years and years to come. A generational leader, a multi-generational leader. Who even knows? Here she is hanging out with the falcon. This is the girl that was able to detect the presence of the ancient ruins that allowed them to use the skyway through the world tree. And then Griffith's buddy here. But the princess comes first. Yeah. Oh, tired today. Princess coming first. I love the shot of the hawk. In disbelief too. Help the parents these orphans need. I suppose once they read adulthood. Yeah. I think to plant them in the orphanage's yard. How nice. Father of the nation be king of the age. She's so upset. He's going on a little date with the princess. She's so unhappy. This is pretty good. Banter, banter. She's setting out for a long ride. Storming off. She's had enough. Princess asleep. Griffith staring at his own hair. Wondering what the heck is up. We haven't really seen into Griffith's mind very much. We haven't really seen him alone. We haven't seen him scheming or contemplating. And as such, we're still very far away, really, from understanding the totality of his intent here. Or at least I am. Of course, and this night will be... Ooh, and then he just vanishes. And it looks like he's noticing that his hair is getting darker? Or something like that? So is this part of his god hand duties? Is this kind of like his femto side that still needs to manifest itself in some way to release some built up tension maybe? I feel like this could be it, that he ascended to the god hand because he wanted the power to do all of the things he's doing. The breakdown of the walls between fantasy and reality, the destruction of empire, and the rebuilding of his own. And that all of these actually maybe have a noble intent. That in the end, he actually thinks this will cure the ills of mankind and create a better world. But that by kind of doing this deal with the devil, by ascending to godhood along those other scummy weirdos, he then in turn must commit some sort of heinous acts every once in a while. Because I feel like that's what's going to happen here. That it's all about the contrast between the pleasantness of tea with the princess and then stealing out into the night on his own. And I think he's going to run into what's-her-face there, who's going out on her long ride along with that guy. And they're going to see his true form? Something like this? I don't know. And who knows when we will know. Because it since August for this chapter, and who knows how long it'll be for the one after that. All right, that's all we are doing for today. For Berserk. Sorry, I got distracted reading the comments. There's somebody here that's pointing out that he disappeared on a full moon. And apparently we've only ever seen Casca's kid on a full moon. Is that Is that what's going on here? Pretty much confirms that Griffith is the Moonchild. He's conscious when the Moonchild takes over is to be determined. I don't know. Now let's find out. Half of the Moonchild. Alright, well, let's see. We'll just wait another year or whatever and see what happens. Okay, bye-bye.